For many of us who've been in real estate for quite some time, it could have been several years since we've really dug into our contracts and really understood them at the level that we did back in our post-licensing days in North Carolina. So my name is Chris Cox, and I am a licensed real estate broker as well as an approved North Carolina Commission, real estate commission instructor. And today I want to talk to you about North Carolina Form 201, specifically paragraph 4 of the exclusive buyer agency agreement. I think it's just a great opportunity with the changes in our industry to really dive into some of these important paragraphs. And I figured since probably one of the more important things to most of us is how we earn a living through real estate, I feel like the compensation of firm paragraph of the exclusive buyer agency agreement is of monument importance for us to understand. So let's dive into that paragraph and look at some of the specific key factors of that. So this first one is a change that came to this form and very specifically highlighted this. So this is, again, paragraph 4. We're looking at subsection B of that. And in bright red and italics, it says, do not insert NA 0 or a range of compensation here. The expectation is on that line, you are putting a specific dollar amount or a specific percentage of the purchase price determining your firm's compensation. It will also add some other specific things that this paragraph says that some of us may have either never seen, it was never important to us, or just never noticed it. So same paragraph here, and I'll point out 2 additional things. So it does also additionally add the fact that you can determine the firm's compensation for each type of property that the buyer may purchase. Now, of course, I will add a little caveat here. Whatever your firm's rules are on this specific paragraph or what they want in there is going to override what the form itself says. But according to the form itself, you can differentiate for each type of property. And specifically, it even names such as resale, new construction, land, lot, or an unrepresented seller. So for example, you could have 3 bananas is what I am getting paid on a resale, and I'm going to get paid 5 bananas if I help you locate a land or a lot. That is completely acceptable from this contract here. And again, what the terms of this contract says. It's clearly defining compensation, which is part of the NAR settlement, and it's also clearly even further defining for each type of property. So important changes there, or important updates that I think that you need to be aware of there, as I've had conversations around both of these with different brokers. And again, like I said, follow the guide and the rules of your specific firm and what their requirements are. But the form, as it is written by the North Carolina Association of Realtors, Form 201, does allow for changing based on the type of property. The next one is the next paragraph down. It does say, again, just some key points that I want to highlight here. Firm may seek the fee from cooperating listing firm or from the seller, and the buyer agrees that the firm shall be entitled to receive the same in consideration for the firm's services. I want to highlight, shall not exceed the amount of the fee unless otherwise agreed. So if you have a buyer agency agreement that says your firm is going to you're going to earn 3 bananas for the services, you cannot collect 4 bananas on that unless it's otherwise agreed, which goes a little further down the form and talks about how you would get that otherwise agreed. So that's the second part. Next part we're going to talk about in the subsection 3 of this. If additional compensation, incentive, bonus, or rebate, or other valuable consideration over and above the fee, aka additional compensation, is offered to the firm shall timely disclose the promise or expectation of receiving any such additional compensation. And it specifically says, hey, use Form 770 for this. So going back to the paragraph two above this, shall not exceed the amount of the fee unless otherwise agreed. The otherwise agreed part is Form 770 to consent to such additional compensation. And then the next paragraph down, we're going to talk about where we're going to finish off our conversation on this paragraph is I always like the blue boxes and the red boxes that they've added to the North Carolina Association of Realtors forms. these just highlight, hey, these are things you should be talking to your clients about, and your clients, you need to make sure your clients understand that. So what the key word in this one is the blue box, Form 220 can be used to adjust the amount of compensation offered by a listing firm. So just because they're saying that they're offering 2 bananas for that property does not mean that you can't submit an offer that says, hey, we want 3 bananas for compensation being offered by the listing firm or by the seller, depending on how that is offered in the listing agreement. So just key words matter and contracts matter. If you get to a point where it gets in front of the real estate commission, they're going to say, hey, what does the contract say? And this is what the contract that is ruling most of our buyer agency agreements is going to say. Last 2 parts we're going to touch on is when is compensation earned and when is it paid. So paragraph C, subsection C under paragraph 4 says the compensation shall be deemed earned upon any of the following circumstances. And this goes into, enters into a purchase agreement if within X number of days after the date of this agreement, with the caveat that it says unless buyer has entered into a valid agency agreement with another firm, or if the buyer defaults under the terms of this into an enforceable contract and the buyer defaults under it. So again, compensation shall be deemed earned, and then the final part is the compensation will be due and payable upon the distribution of proceeds from the sale of the property by the closing attorney or upon the buyer's default of any purchase agreement. So if the contract just falls apart due to the buyer's unilateral right to terminate the agreement or the seller terminating the agreement, you as a buyer's agent are not due any compensation because it's not buyer's default of the purchase agreement. They were under their rights to terminate that agreement if it's within the guidelines of that. So again, due and payable upon the distribution of proceeds or buyer's default. And then the final part of this is subsection E under that, and that is if buyer purchases unimproved property, agent may assist buyer in identifying a contractor to make improvements on the property. So decide to build on an unimproved lot. Buyer acknowledges and understands that in such a case, the contractor may offer to compensate agent. Agent is required or shall disclose to the buyer the existence of such compensation before the buyer enters into a contract with the contract. And the buyer hereby consents to the receipt of any such compensation. So again, I just think it's really important with us as real estate brokers that we are understanding the contracts that we are asking our clients to sign that is legally binding them to the relationship between the firm and themselves. It's important that we as real estate brokers understand what we're asking them to sign and can explain any questions that they have. So if you like this video today, go ahead and give us a like and give us a follow as we try to put out more educational content. And I hope to see you on a CE class sometime soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.